Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
What's up, buddy?
You look like somebody who got up too early to watch pool.
No, go ahead. I know what you're here for. I know why you showed up this afternoon. I I I
If
saw
I
I saw I saw the post.
if I had time before this, I was going to run over to a Red Lobster and get one of those bibs that they put on.
Now that would have been pretty epic, Mike. Just getting ready, right? Just do the wave wearing the bib.
Listen, when you don't win a lot, you take advantage of the opportunities to gloat when you win. So, yes, we had our last longer bet on the two co-brothers, and I had Ping Yi, who sailed through 3 matches, and you had Ping Chung, who won one. So I'll give him credit. Or did he win two? But he
I
went
think he
out.
might have won two. Might have won two.
Yeah. And he didn't lose to any world beaters, so he must just not been having a good week with the Q.
Well, of course, he dumped me the one time I fucking pick him. So it's about how I run with you, Pinozo.
That's right.
What where you put?
That's right.
I'm
So
sure.
now I'm looking at a nice crab dinner in Seattle.
Here's what Mike does.
Listen,
Mike texts me and says, "I got the video ready. I'm posting it." And I'm thinking Mike's being sarcastic until about 15 minutes later.
no.
Then my Facebook says, Molina Mike's been tagged. I said, "Okay, here we go." So you want to bet, Mike? Congratulations. I don't know how the guy doesn't get through to single at least. If you
Yeah,
imagine that prop bet for a book, Ko Ping
yeah.
Chung not
Doesn't
making it
make
to single
final
elimination.
64. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm
That
not
would
even
be
joking. He probably would
yeah.
have been like a minus, probably like a minus, I'd say 2,500 on a money line to make single elimination. Not even to make 16, or I mean, like just to make a massive favorite to make single
Yeah.
elimination. And the one time I pick him to bet dinner against you,
Tanks it. Well, you know
don't
what? Too much pressure on him.
just
You put
straight dump
dinner
it.
on the line and he can't play.
He can win for 30,000 out in Manila, but
Yeah,
dinner, the guy
yeah.
folds
Forget
like a cheap suit. All right, Mike, where we beginning today? It was a big day, another early morning, because of the European Open out in Fulda.
Yeah.
Pretty good action from beginning to end, Mike. For me, the end match was just as great as the matches I saw early on, waking up, and it finished off for me watching Chris Melling and Mika, and ended up being a pretty good match.
Yeah, it was a great match. There were some really good matches today. There were great matches, good winner's side matches that were on tap. The Americans, they had 4 Americans on the winner's side going into today, and uh, you know, Hunter Lombardo lost to Albin. Must have played him relatively close. It was 9-6. I didn't see it, but against Tyler,
Hunter's been playing pretty
he's,
consistent. I
he's
mean,
yeah, he's consistent.
I don't think you're gonna. I don't think his ceiling is too high, but I think
No,
for what his ceiling is, that he plays pretty consistent to it, if that makes sense. And I don't
he
mean that
does.
in an ugly way or anything like that.
No, he's always on the edge. He plays some decent matches. And he's always on the edge of that 64, 32 type of, spot in these tournaments, trying to get to that 64. So, he played credible pool, went out, right away after losing to Albin, which was too bad. But then he had Skyler thump Stuart Bingham, and the guy I've been kind of watching this week, Tyler Steyer. He's played great. Apparently, he hasn't been on the TV table, but he's whomped, his 3 opponents, including a 9-2 dust up of Sanjin today.
That's
So that's
that's
that's a good
that's
win
quality.
for him. That's a quality win for him. Someone posted his game record is 27-3 over 3 matches. So that'll get you into that final 64. So good for him. Congratulations. I'm glad. I don't know if it's the Johan effect, but spending a couple days with
I think
Johan
so.
Reisink before rolling into town, getting there a little bit early, getting rid of the jet lag, getting a little polish from Johan, and all of a sudden he's obviously playing really well. So again, we talked before this tournament started about expectations and dark horses, and I said I didn't think Tyler could. I wouldn't pick him to win this, but I would love to see him make a run to 16 or 8. That would be huge for him because he's going to have to win 2 or 3 really good matches in single elimination to get there, right? So love to see him continue whatever he's doing right. I'd like to see it continue for a couple more days.
We're going to run through the round of 64 before we just finish recapping some of the early morning action. But you're right, Mike, and I think that Tyler is he's very thoughtful, very planned out. Going and maximizing this trip by visiting Johan is just, it epitomizes what that kid is, right? He's
Yeah,
very intelligent
he's a
and
professional pool player.
he is, and he knows that right now it's crunch time, and you got to get your game dialed up. And there's a lot of guys who just need some tweaking in their game or need to get recalibrated to get their stroke right where it belonged. I remember, when was it, Mike? It might have been around October, September, October last year, where we talked to Laley, I think it was, or maybe we talked to Johan, and they mentioned that Federer was going over because he noticed just a
Right.
little chink
Alex
in the
mentioned that.
armor.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
So it's not unheard of for these guys to get dialed in. We know what Johan's resume is like and the champions that he's produced. Tyler's game just seemed to step up a notch. Crypto says in the chat a 27-3 score line. That's strong, but it's not. You can have that when you have dead money here and there. When you have a win like that against Sanjin, who I thought coming into the year was right on the cusp, Mike. I thought he
Yeah.
was, knocking from that, maybe let's say like 8 to 13 range when it comes to Europeans. I
Right.
thought he was ready to kind of bust through. I was holding him in that same category as like a Victor type player,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and I don't know if it's just a showing of what Tyler's made of, or maybe where Sanjin's game is kind of just tapered off a little bit. But either way, very nice win leading into the single elimination round. But here's where it
Yeah,
gets tough.
and obviously he must have played well throughout the whole match. And one of the things we've talked about Tyler in the last year or so is his ability to get a jump on someone and play well in the early stages of the match, and then sometimes kind of limp home, right?
Sometimes it's
Um,
being nice, Mike. Sometimes it's being nice.
sometimes limping home, sometimes getting
Yeah.
overtaken, right?
Yeah.
So, but obviously today he had the foot on the pedal and he didn't let up at all, and he must have played well throughout to beat someone like Sanjin 9-2. So he must not have given Sanjin any opportunities. And again, so it's good for him. I'm excited that
Massive.
he's playing this well. And like I said, just give me 2 more days of playing like this. I'll be a happy camper.
No, agreed. And I think tomorrow they're going to be playing from down to 32, I think, or six. What is it? Maybe 2 rounds
Yeah,
tomorrow,
yeah, I
so they'll
would
be
think
down to
so.
16.
Yeah,
I think maybe they'll be down to 16 tomorrow.
right.
So, but for a guy like Tyler, you want to start seeing trends. We saw him in a final of a Predator event earlier this year. If that was his game before getting dialed in, then this is just a reflection of where he's at after getting retuned up. And
Right.
um, how he can come out the gate. If he can just change how he closes, then that kid can really be dangerous. And I don't want to give him like I don't want to over celebrate a win in double elimination of a major, but I think that I think that he's going the right way. And Tyler's got some killer in him, man. And Tyler, to his credit, can step up against big names. I've seen it, Mike. You've seen it. We've
Well, he's
seen
going
it.
to have to at this point in the tournament if he goes. I mean, we'll go through all the lineups, but he drew pretty, unlucky going into the 64. And we've seen this in the last couple of tournaments, right? A couple of Americans will get through to 64 and they play each other in the round of 64 to round of 32. So looks like if he gets through his first match, he could end up with Skyler in the second match, which would
Well,
be
let's
unfortunate.
let's finish off some of the early morning action, then we'll jump
Yeah.
right into the final
Yeah.
64. Mike, give me some surprises for you. You obviously know my surprise, given the fact that the guy who has been the hottest player over the last few months just goes out for me. Before day whatever it is, day 3 of the European. That was the biggest surprise for me. But on top of that, we also saw James go out after an early morning matchup that was dubbed as easily top 3 billing loses to Shane. He came back on Shane because Shane was up pretty big on him, and then James came back. But
did you watch that match at all?
I was at the gym at the time, but it
So
was I
Shane
saw
was
from
up
whatever 8-2, I think, right?
8-2 and shooting a 3-foot 5-4 ball into the side pocket, and he just tried to bump it and roll it in. He came up about 2 inches short of the side pocket. I mean, not only did he miss the shot, but it was a foul because nothing hit a rail. It was just, it was, and then all of a sudden James, got a couple of breaking runs and a nice
Put
safety
some heat
battle.
on him.
All of a sudden it's 8-6.
Yeah.
And then he came up dry on the break, and Shane took him out. But yeah, it was an interesting match. Yeah, James goes and loses on the loser's side 9-8.
A Finnish player, right, Mike?
Yeah,
or Fin-
yeah.
What
One that I'm not familiar with. It wasn't Yanni Yuski, it was another Yanni. So
Saikinen,
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
There's a lot of good
a
Europeans.
little bit of surprise there. But there was a lot of chalk through the morning matches, which were mostly winners bracket, getting through the final 64. Ralph's okay. He just he just always ends up in the final 32 or something, doesn't he? I don't care how old he is. He took down Torsten this morning. David Alcade won. Victor lost to Michael Schneider from Switzerland.
Mike's
a good player.
Mike can sneak up on some big names too. Right. Mike can. I've seen him in the last, I'd say maybe 6 months ago, he was like this, where he stopped being under the radar and started getting on a lot of guys' radar because of his ability to take down decent names, and at the time was more of an unknown. And then it seems like I ain't seen him on a major, like going deep in a little bit. But I was still, when I was looking through yesterday, in my head, I'm thinking, that's one that, can get away from Victor a little bit. But I'm like, nah, Victor's going to get it. And then he didn't. And then he ends up on the one loss side. And then Victor was fighting for his life and almost got the hell out of the tournament on the one loss side to close the day out,
Yeah. No, it's, but then you look into it again, you got the final 64. There's 8 Polish players. 8.
They can produce,
Polish players in the final 64. It's stupid how consistent these guys are.
One of the stories that I can tell of the car ride with Shane Tyree coming from St. Louis over to Quincy was that he was talking about when he went to the World Championships in Poland, and he was telling me that he went to a school out there, and I don't remember what grade it was. Obviously, it should have been like I'd imagine like a high school, junior high type thing, right? But he was saying in the hallways they got pool tables there, Mike. In the hallways of the school, they got pool tables. That's how they're training these guys to be. And I don't think there's a whole lot to do out there in Poland because they're just producing monsters after monsters. You got guys who are, Babika reminds me a lot of Ralph, where he just always seems to be there, towards the tail end of, not the tail end, but maybe in that single elimination type range when it comes to events, Mike, but they're such a deep country. Now, it's kind of been a shifting of the guards where before it was Misko and Conrad who were the names of the red and the white. Now I think more lately it's been Victor, but there's still a lot of question marks about him, when it comes to big events, Mike.
Yeah, Victor's he's had kind of a little bit of a slump from that peak where it looked like, we were going to see his name every week. But again, you look at these guys when they come into Polish players and you never know who's going to end up in that final 8. You expect at least 2 of them to hit the final 8 because they always get there unless they start playing each other. It could be these days. It could be Corral. It could be Kaplan. It could be Wojciech. Could be anybody. You're not surprised by any of them.
The world 10 ball champion becomes an afterthought at times when you talk about the Polish players, Mike. How crazy is that?
So it's they're so good as players and really a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun to hang around. I mean, it's a really cool tight group.
Listen, I like Victor's style of play, more than anything. because of
Yeah.
the way he just fires balls in and he's super aggressive. But when he needs to, he can button you up a little bit too. He's going to have a hell of a matchup in the round of 64, which we'll get to here in a minute. Probably the matchup
Yeah.
that I'm looking forward to the most out of any of them. But like I said, we also saw James going out. We saw Anton, kind of have a bit of a greaser against Niels, on the TV table, which was a great matchup. But we saw a few golden breaks. I remember seeing on the Matchroom Pool Facebook
Yeah.
page that Jonas had like 3 golden breaks in a
Three in
row.
a row. Three in a
I don't.
row.
We're past the conversation that the golden break shouldn't be allowed,
Oh,
right, Mike? I'm
yeah, of
hoping we're
course we're
we're we're
past.
we're,
Of
we're,
course we're
we're
past
beyond
that,
that.
and we're I would come back to the point of stop freaking apologizing when you do it.
What do you want? You want to pump your chest?
I don't want to go stand in
This is what
front of the
they.
guy and bellow, but I don't want to. Every time these guys get a decent
Oh man,
roll or
I
a
do.
ball, the one doesn't go in the side, but it crosses and goes into the corner. They do the little hand thing. It's like,
Oh,
play, guys.
imagine Mika and Chris getting chin to chin, Mike. You know, you you want to talk about getting some eyes watching pool.
Yeah, no, that would be.
Uh,
Yeah, no, that was an entertaining match, but it was. I have no problem with the 9 going in as long as it's not because of poor racking. These are they're playing balls where they're ricocheting and something's running into the 9 all the time. Well, every once in a while it's going to go in. Don't apologize. Just go back to your chair, chuck your cue, and hit them again as hard as you can.
Well, I mean, they're playing to swing into it. They're playing to come off the rail. They're playing to probably make contact. They know there's a good chance that it's going to fly, right? Most of the time,
Right.
it'll bank in the side, or it'll cut
Or
in the
kick it into the
side,
corner.
or sometimes you'll end up, banking it in the corner. Like we
Right.
saw with that match with Francisco. We saw it in that match with Anton. Yeah, I don't want to see these guys go and apologize either. I like the sportsmanship. I want to see some more bravado in their games. I want to see more personality. But I mean, maybe that's part of their personality, man. You just can't fade it either, Mike. So I think with more of like the pushing by Emily, that these guys can kind of come out of their shell a little bit. But one guy who does come out of his shell quite a bit, Mike, is Jason Shaw.
Yeah.
We saw him in a big matchup earlier today against Johan Chua. Did you get to
Right.
watch any of that, Mike? That must have been right around when you were about eating lunch, about 4 a.m. this morning, right?
4 a.m. Yeah, no, I did not see much of that. I saw some highlights of it later. It looked like Chua got a golden break at a pretty nice part of the match where he was starting to pull away, and that allowed him to put a little more space between him and Jason couldn't quite catch up. But that figured to be a really good matchup, and apparently it was good enough. But Jason went through the loser side then, and got his way back in. So it's they're both in that last 64. So good stuff to come.
I gotta hit Mike with the zingers because it's all I got after he's been busting my chops about winning a bet off me. So I'm gonna make sure I get my money's worth when it comes to Pinozo over the next few weeks. I'm gonna see you pretty soon, buddy.
Well, speaking of getting his money worth, wait till you see that dinner bill, pal.
Oh God, yeah. No, I'm dipping the hell out of there. Another name that we saw go out, Mike, as well. Well, I mean, go on the one loss side earlier in the day was Moritz. We saw him lose to
Right.
Aloysius Schaap with the scoreline of 9-5. He was in a bit of a battle as well with Billy Thorpe, Mike.
Thorpe,
Billy
yeah.
was a guy who we talked about quite a bit. And now he's out of the tournament, Mike. Give me your thoughts on where his game is at and
I
really
don't.
what you see going into the rest of the year.
Yeah, what I want to see for the rest of the year out of Billy is playing in more of these tournaments because he needs more experience. I saw a
Can
lot
you
of
justify it though, Mike, from a financial standpoint?
depends on where you want to end up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
If you gotta pay to play and prove your way in, and you need that match experience, and you need the repetitions to get into good enough shape to be a difference maker. If you're not going to be a difference maker, then don't play pool. I mean, you almost have to make a decision one way or another at some point. What I saw in him at this tournament was a lot of inconsistency. He looked really good in some spots and terrible in a couple others. He had Moritz down 7-6 today and ended up losing on the hill. I didn't see that, so I don't know.
Mike.
I don't know how that ended up, but so a close match. You always know there was one rack you could have won that you didn't. So for Billy, he's too good a player and too good an asset for Team USA, but only if he's playing. I'm not really big on guys getting in on reputation, past reputation, and things like that. I want to see him in playing shape. So I'd love to see Billy, because obviously he showed parts of that today. He won a couple matches in a row after he had lost earlier in the tournament. So you want to see him in there, playing these guys all the time and getting used to winning this 9-8 game instead of losing it.
Well, it's kind of the tale of two tapes when you think about the Americans. When it comes to the outside of the automatics, right? Outside of Sky and Shane, we talk about Tyler and Billy, right? Tyler's getting quality wins. Talk about
Yeah.
Sanjin, right?
Yeah.
A win against Moritz where a guy whose stock is trending the right way
Yep.
would have been something that you can
Would
hang
have
your
been a
head on,
good,
Mike.
would have been a nice win for Billy.
And
I don't care
those are
how young
things.
Moritz is. He's a great player.
Yeah,
Great
no,
player.
without a doubt. Yeah, but it's about stock, Mike, right?
Right.
And that kid is playing real hot right now.
Yeah,
He was
he's
just in
on
the
the rise.
final. Yeah, without a doubt, he was in a final of a World Cup of pool. Playing alongside Josh. We've seen just how quality he can be over the last few months. And listen, we've talked to captains before, Mike, before
Yeah.
picks and after picks, and they've mentioned specifically that hey, we're looking at how they're doing in events. We're looking at names they're
Yeah,
taking
they
down throughout
should.
events. That would have been a win for a guy like Billy, where you would have been like, you know what, I'll chalk that up as a W, because Moritz is someone who I think has a future of being on the Mosconi Cup if he
Right.
keeps playing the way that he's playing.
Right. Agreed.
Another guy who just seems to be there when it comes to the tail end of events, Mike, Imran Majid. It's like every event he's in there at 64, he's in there at 32. Mike, what is it
Yeah.
about this guy game where he's always there?
He's just a tough player.
Yeah,
He's veteran. He's played in
he
a
is.
lot of these matchroom events over the years. He's played all these players a ton of time. He's not a Euro Tour guy, but he plays all these guys plenty, and he's got talent. So he just kind of hangs in there. He's a confident player. He's he kind of Chris Melling is kind of in that realm where you don't see him that often. You don't see him winning, what things like. But when he gets in there, you're just not surprised when they go on a little bit of a run. I was actually kind of surprised that Chris didn't get through to the final 64. I kind of was like, this is definitely this type of event where Chris will surprise a couple of people, and all of a sudden he'll be in the final 32 or 64 or whatever. And he had I think 8-5 lead against Mika, and ended up losing 9-8. That was an entertaining match.
It was, and especially the end of it. That's when I started watching it. Was right around that 8-5 mark. I'm a fan of both those guys. Chris had a pretty chilly miscue at the end of that match, which let Mika get to 8-7, and then it was fireworks just in that last rack altogether. But pretty unfortunate. You got to dodge a bullet here and there to go on a run. Who knows? This could go and spark Mika, and Mika's got the talent to get there. Obviously, he's been in big spots his entire career. But Chris, I agree with you, man. He's kind of he can go from playing Chinese 8-ball and then just show up and pick up a poke cue and just
and those the two kick shots in the last.
Just a savant.
The two kick shots in the last rack.
How do you get on that
stupid
spot, Mike? You make them, and then you still get stuck like that.
yeah, he's amazing. But then for him to completely whiff on the 4 was just a shock to me.
Because that for me was more of a hanger than the other one. Well, the other one was closer to the rail, so that made it be able to get dialed in. But
I don't know about hanger, but I figured he was a pretty good,
he was a decent favorite to make that ball.
Well, at least
to hit it, massive favorite.
Yeah.
The equivalent of Little Cole getting to a single elimination. I'm kidding. All right, let's.
I'm gonna get you an autographed Little Cole picture for your.
I got a picture around here somewhere on the office. Another guy who's still sticking around, Mike, is Federer. We saw him stumble right out the gate, getting in 2 big holes starting off the tournament. Had a bit of a dodgy one as well, again against a veteran in Radislaw. Survives 9-7. He's through to single elimination. Yep. Mike, where do you think he's at? Where do you think he's going in this event?
Well, hopefully he's in his room right now, smacking his head against the wall, saying, let's go. You're gonna have to show better speed than that in the last 64 to get very far. He had 3 slags of matches. It looked like, for his first 3 matches, and none of them were against any world beaters.
Right.
So he's got to step up his game if he wants to make a run at one of these matchroom titles, which I know is, the biggest thing on his checklist right now, more so than Mosconi Cup is win a Matchroom singles open title.
Well, I think he knows they go hand in hand,
They do, but I
and
still think
yeah.
I still think his what he goes to sleep thinking about is winning one of these titles.
Well, I think he wants to shut up a lot of people like me and you for saying he hasn't won one, and he's very competitive, which is what all champions are, right? They strive for greatness. The one
Yeah,
thing that I can say that you can take a lot of positives from when it comes to this is that for a little while, well, at least when it comes to him like playing in decent matchups, right, was that I always said Federer's more of a front runner because when he's stuck, he plays a little differently. Now you're seeing him play from behind and play with heart, and
right.
he's got the brain and the execution to figure out a way to squeeze you to get back in the match.
Yeah. Oh, he's got all the tools
Everything.
and the mental framework to do it.
Right.
He's told us before that his biggest problem now is he gets on tilt a little too easily. And that'll, if that affects you for a game or a
Let
shot or
let
two
him come.
games.
Let him come do a show with Pinozo. We'll see how much he'll go on tilt. Yeah. No. I I think that you know everyone's looking to see where he's at.
Yeah.
He's still an extremely dangerous player. Everybody gives him the world of respect. He's got high expectations. He can deliver when he needs to. He hasn't delivered on a matchroom stage, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him go on a run myself, Mike. And I don't think anybody on earth would, either.
Yeah. No.
It's
No. Yeah.
but you
It'd
would
be fun
certainly
to
hope.
watch.
Yeah, and it's the opposite of what we saw the last event. I think he had dropped a similar scoreline to what they were saying about Tyler, in the previous event leading into single elimination, right? Where he maybe dropped probably a handful of racks through his first few rounds, and
And
now
then, yeah.
he's had to get a little scrappy with guys,
Yeah.
but
Maybe
he's still
that. Yeah.
true.
Yeah. I mean, and for some guys, that kind of like gets them turned in the right direction, gets their mind, in the right place. Skylar Woodward's has talked
I
about
was
it,
going to
and
say, yeah.
losing a couple early matches in a couple of these open events and having to play that extra match or two to get into the single elimination and then scuffling from there. And it's he said it's helped him get himself squared away. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, he called that the getting stroke side,
Yeah,
So,
getting
uh,
stroke side of the tournament.
yeah, yeah. Certain guys just play different when it comes to pressure, and
Yeah.
Sky's a player who can thrive under those type of conditions.
Well,
I think
luckily these good.
what's it? No, go ahead, Mike.
I say, well, luckily these tournaments, the one that getting stroke side is only a match or two, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't want
Well,
to
but
play this. He doesn't want to play this
get
game in the old double elimination U.S. Open.
no, but it can get super dicey. And I mean, we had a matchup earlier today with Little Co and Claudio. Losing
Yeah.
Hill, which I think that kid's only two losses were two Hill
Yes, they
losses.
were.
I think one to Can and one to Little
Cool.
Co. So
Yeah.
I still want to see more of that kid. I think that kid's future is just super bright, and I don't think he's a
Yeah.
flash in the pan either. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where the cards end up, Mike. And there's still a lot of pool left to be played over the next few days. I want to just
Yep.
switch over a little bit. I'm going to turn this off, and then we're going to go through the
Final
matches through the
64.
round. If this thing can turn off, then I'll do that. Hold on one second here. There we go. I think. Oh, never mind. Finally, all right. Starting up top, Mike, you got Jason Shaw, who lost earlier today to Johan Chua.
you got the wrong. You got the wrong thing up there.
Oh, do I? Hold on. Let me see here.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
share this tab
Yeah.
instead. I'm looking at it. There it
There
is.
we go. So
There it
this is,
Yeah.
I looked at the 64 player break and I thought, I look at it in 8-player chunks, right? The like 8 little zones. Okay, what does this one look like? And they're all
Right.
pretty evenly spread. There's no quadrant of death type of thing. But right at the top, you got a pretty juicy match up there. That's if you look at that 4 match bracket, the winner of that looks pretty good. You got Wojciech in there as well, but the winner of that Albin Jason match, would be my favorite to hit the final 8.
Well, just knowing Jason, I'm sure he's thrilled at his draw, as he always is. So he he doesn't run necessarily the best when it comes to these type of things, and you're drawing into the guy who's a defending champion. So
Yeah.
it's not going to be easy, but it shouldn't be easy if you're on the one loss side. But this is
No.
about as tough as it gets, and I don't listen. While I agree with you, you're going to be one of the favorites coming out of this 8. I don't think you're stealing when it comes to the guy below, because the guy right below is a guy who I picked to go very far in this tournament, in Martial. But the guys coming out up top are going to be the favorite amongst
You want to
those
last
four.
longer, and the Maciel winner of the Ocean Shaw match.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. No, we're gonna do something, because I'm gonna try to double down here in a minute. Let me
No,
just find the
I'm
right.
not taking any doubles. I can only eat one meal, buddy.
No, let me just find something. Don't be nitty on me, Mike. You got to give me a chance to fire one more time. All right, listen. So, Albin and Jason, who you got, Mike? Defending champion against a guy who's had a lot of question marks lately.
Yeah, I got Albin.
You got Albin?
Albin. Yeah, I mean, this is, Albin, I think he's going to like the fact that he's not playing anybody he's supposed to dust. I think he'll be more focused. And, we talk about guys like Federer not having performed on the matchroom stage or whatever. Jason's got a lot more experience on the matchroom stage than Federer does, and his record's not much better. So, yeah, if I had to swing on this one, I'm definitely going Albin.
The
wouldn't surprise me if Jason won. I mean, he could catch fire and win 9-1.
Don't try to hedge what you're saying, Mike. Don't play. Go out on a limb one time, Pinozo. Stick your neck out there.
All right, Jason's got no shot.
I think Jason's got a great shot. I think the Jason that I saw play, Jason won that whatever it was, Jacoby Open in Scotland or whatever it was recently. Yeah. We also saw that even in the World Cup of pool, when he was playing with Elliott, he seemed to be a different player. I mean, although he got on tilt quite a bit with some of Elliott's choices, we also saw him execute pretty well. Also, I think that this is even, of course, but I would take the other side of it, Mike. I like Jason. I think he's going to have to do something here, but I think he's got the firepower to do it. Sure, Albin is Albin is big time. Albin is decorated. Albin is a champion. Albin is a million things. But call me crazy. I'm gonna take Jason in this one, Mike.
I don't think that makes you crazy, but
Neil says bet breakfast on it. Yeah, I might have to. I might have to take the breakfast one, because Mike ain't giving me a shot at dinner.
Yeah, I'm not going even money. That's for sure. Yeah.
Martial and Mika. Who do you got, Mike?
Martial. I like his style. I like the Polish players. I like, at least, 4 of them to get into the final 32, final 16. Right. They just do. So just load me up on the Polish players, and I'll just take, I'll take whichever ones go through.
I'm assuming we're both going to take Wojciech over Mickey?
Yes.
Same. Okay. This one I think is going to be super interesting, and one you're going to want to watch, Mike. It's Gary Wilson.
I like Gary Wilson in this one.
Against the guy who was just in the final, Mike, of the Spanish Open.
Yep. I'll take Gary Wilson in this one. I think he's a good player. I think he's enjoying playing. I think he's going to, it's nice to be a professional snooker player like that and come into a match like this and feel like you got nothing to lose. When you can play like him, that's pretty good.
I don't think he's free rolling at this point, Mike. I think he wants it, and
no, he does for sure, but I don't think he's putting a lot of pressure on himself to win.
Well, let me tell you, if there's one dude I want to hang out with, just from the pictures I've seen,
that
dude looks like he has a good time.
Yeah, he's a pint a minute, this guy.
Yeah, I like his style, man. He looks like he just wants to have fun. So, I don't know, man. Mark is just such a grinder, a real grinder of a player. I think you're going to have to tie Gary up and really make him squeeze, where Mark can be very aggressive, So that's where I think that's where I think it favors your choice, Mike, of Gary, because Mark is so aggressive, where you would think the snooker player, you want to just make him kick, you want to make him jump, you want to make him do all
uncomfortable spots.
You want to make him do all the things that you're better at him. Yes. Does that make sense? So, but like I said, Mark's style of play is that ain't it, So that's where I think the question mark comes. I like the winner out of these two to win against the guy up top. Give me someone you got out of this group of 8, Mike,
to get into the final 8.
Yeah.
Final 8.
I guess give me the last two out of this section of
No,
8.
no, I'll go
And
final.
then,
I got the guy who's going to win 2 matches is Alvin.
okay. And then who's the one coming from the bottom then out of this group? Albin and who? You got
No,
Gary
I
and
said he's
Wojciech.
going to win 2 matches, so
Yeah,
he'll win. So he'll get to the final 8.
okay. All right. Well,
He'll go in to get the 13. He'll go in to get the 13. Oh no, that's right. Final 8 would be after that, wouldn't it?
yeah, so who's the other guy you got getting to there? No. This will be 16, Mike. 2 wins will get 16.
Right.
64, 32, then 16.
Yes, I like Alvin to get to 16.
Okay, so then who's the other guy coming at the bottom you like getting to 16? 2 guys from here are going to get to 16, Mike. Let me I know it's been a while since you've been in school. between Gary and Wojciech.
Yeah. Wojciech.
Well, that's fair. On paper, he's probably the favorite coming out of the bottom. Anyway, yeah. I'm taking Maciel. I'm taking Maciel in the second match. I'm taking Maciel on the third match. I'm taking Maciel to come out of this whole group of 8 players. I really like that guy's game. I think he's due. The way I've been running, especially when it comes to you.
I picked someone to go to the final 8, and all of a sudden you tell me I can't do that. Now you pick someone to go to the final 8.
No, but you're saying, you're saying out of everybody here, you like
out
Alvin
of this
to win
group of 8 players.
3 matches.
I like Alvin.
Yeah, yes, but you were saying 2 matches.
No, I said 3.
Look, we're gonna rewind that.
You
damn
corrected
tape.
me.
Yeah, we're gonna rewind that tape. All right. Anyway, let's move on.
For people on the thread here.
Yeah.
Is he like?
I'm trying to get Mike turned up here. All right, here we go. Mike Kopinyi against Georgie from where's he? He's from Bulgaria, right?
Yeah, and Georgie's who did Georgie knock out? Was James.
Yeah,
the guy who beat Uranus, right? Yeah. No, I like Big Co.
Clearly.
I picked Big Co to the final, of this whole event when we started. Right?
Did you?
Yes.
What? To win it all?
Yes. I said an Asian's going to win this, and I went with Big Co.
Okay, I don't remember that, Mike. Let me rewind the tape. You're good at rewinding tape, clearly, from what I saw from your Facebook post earlier today. I'm with you. I think
there's some good players and some good matchups in this little group of 8 here.
Oh, it's a lot thicker than that one right above, because you got Snagaki against Raga, and while many people may think that Anton is going to be a favorite here, Snagaki is a real dangerous out, Mike. He's an extremely tough and seasoned player, a seasoned 9-ball player, a seasoned matchroom player. I don't think this is going to be stealing by any means. I don't. I saw Anthony play Niels earlier, but I'm still not sold on this stage, Mike. I don't know. I'm just still not sold. I like Snagaki to come through on that matchup. The one right below, you got Alexa versus Chang Jun Lin, Mike, and this is kind of similar for me as well as the one before. But go ahead.
Yeah, no. Well, on the one before, I'm taking Raga. I want to see Raga against Pinyi Ko. I think that would be a fun.
Match. That's the matchup that I think everybody wants to see for sure.
Yeah. But Alexa and Chang,
you're the one who's told me that. What has Chang won lately? What?
Nothing. But I think he can win a match. I think he can win around the 64. Do I like him to win the tournament? No. Do I like him to reach the Final Four? No. Do I like him to win in the round of 64? Probably. yeah, I'll take him right here. But yes, I don't. I mean, he's not the Chang that we've seen in years past. The guy who scares the shit out of everybody. But I like him against Alexa.
We saw Alexa not too long ago take Filler Hill deep in a tournament, Mike, on the last day. We know this kid can play. We know he's tough as nails. I like this kid in upset. He should probably go on a 9. He should probably be at least 1.5 plus 1.5.
They're racing to 10 here, right?
Are they racing to 10? Oh, it does say race to 10. Yeah. So what do you think, Mike? 2? If I would take Alexa plus 2, I feel like, and I don't think that's out of line asking for.
No, that seems honest.
But it's more the name than anything else. I don't think you're lining up just based off of the game. Max Lechner against John Mora. Who do you got there, Mike?
I like Max, but it depends how many games you give him with Mora.
Yeah, John probably needs 2, I think.
See, I would almost take him with 2 because I think these are the matches that John, he gets to this part of the tournament and he plays everybody really tough, and you see him lose a lot of those hill matches, don't you?
Yeah. Okay, 1.5 then. We'll do 1.5. That sounds fair. Nah, I'm kidding. Everybody knows I like Max's game. I like him deep in tournaments. I like him in this spot right here. John is a great player, but I just think it's too tough to overcome. I just seen Max do it more often and more consistently. I know where I think I know in spots of the event where Max can stumble a little bit. I don't think this is it. I don't see him
Yeah,
coming up.
I agree.
I don't see him getting through. Oh wait, we forgot to pick the 8 or the 2 to get through here, Mike. Who do you got out of this bracket?
Now,
That's pretty deep.
remind me, are we taking 2 here, or are we just taking the guy to get to the final 8?
Okay, we'll pick the guy to get to the final 8 then. How about that?
Yeah,
We'll
because
pick
it'll
the one
take
to
too
get to the
long to do
final.
the other stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Guy to get to the final 8. Well, I got to take Pinico. I mean, I took him to win the freaking tournament. I can't pick against him now.
Okay, then give me one underdog out of this one then too.
Braga.
That you would take. How the heck? God, you got to be from Arizona the way that you bet. You think Anton is an underdog then?
If I pick Pinico to win this thing, yeah, then whoever I pick second is the underdog.
You're killing me here. All right, listen.
It's called
If
logic.
I'm going way the opposite way. I'm going Max Lechner to go deep here out of the 8. And if I'm taking underdog, I'm taking Alexa. I'm taking a guy from the bottom side. I think Alexa is a great player.
I will
And I
give you
think
credit. You will take some flyers, boy.
hey, listen, I took Dang the last event. Look how well that paid off for me. So
It did.
1 out of every 80 events where I picked decent. So all right, Mike. In this section of 8, we got some pretty stout names as well, including Federer. You got Chua, you got Yap, Kwok. So let's start up top. You got Nguyen from Vietnam against Johan Chua.
I like the way Chua plays. I mean, I love watching him. I'm picking him because I want to see him win. I want to see him and Federer in that round of 16. I think that would be, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that? That'd be a great matchup. But I mean, Chua's playing with a lot of confidence right now. We talked before about is he, we gotten a little bit too much publicity lately, and it's kind of maybe his focus isn't as narrow or focused as zeroed in as it was before.
Yeah.
But I think that now it's the business side of this tournament, and he's got to dial in and play well. And if he does, I think he wins his next 2 matches.
Well, it's hard staying hungry when you've eaten so much, Mike. It's hard staying
Well,
hungry.
I mean, eating so much
when
is
you
winning
had
the
that
World
lately.
Cup of Pool. I mean,
That's as
not
big as you can probably get as if you're a
it's
Filipino.
not a steady diet. It's he had a big win. Good for him, and now it's time to move on.
Yeah, but the Philippines is different. They celebrate their country more than anything. That was a different win for that country more than I feel like any other. It wouldn't have been the same if the UK won. They wouldn't have had a parade and them all over all the news stories like those guys. But it's just different there. But I understand what you're saying. I like him in this first round. I would even like him against Yap or Schnetny. Shit. I don't even know how the hell to pronounce that guy's name. I'm not even gonna try.
His name is
Mats. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Mats. Before we get kicked off the air here. I like Chua in the first 2. I think that how he plays the game and how cold-blooded he is what's going to get him through. And I think that those other names on there have not been where he's been. I've seen Yap kind of shake a little bit in big spots, and I think up against Chua, and I want to say when they just met in maybe it was Vietnam or Indonesia, I can't remember, but they gambled just recently. Yap rattled again. Chua was money, and I think that if they do match up, just that kind of mental.
Yeah.
One of them plays like he's the killer. One of them plays like he's good enough to get there, but then at the end, it's a little, the arm can kind of get tight a little bit, and we haven't seen Yap really do much since that final of the U.S. Open a couple of years ago, Mike. So
he's still young. I mean, that's the thing I like about Yap.
No,
he's
of course, and he's a great player. He's a great player, but like if you kind of hold him to that 1A standard, that's where I think a lot of these criticisms come into play.
Yeah.
Right below it, you got 2 guys who are just the epitome of consistency, Imran and Kwok from Vietnam. I think this one will be an extremely underrated matchup, and I don't think it'll ever get on the TV table, but I think it'll be just pure quality from these 2 guys, Mike.
It should be a good matchup. I like Duong in this.
And then you like Federer. underneath, obviously. Right.
Do you
Yeah.
know who the German player is?
Well, I was gonna ask you that. So way to
Are you
put me on the spot, Mike. No, I've
because
never seen that. I
he's going
could
to
not.
be your dark horse to win that eighth set, isn't he?
No, no, hell no. I can't. I couldn't point that guy to the lineup for $1 million, man. To be
A
honest with you, I
German
have no
named
idea.
Yuma. Yeah.
No idea what he looks like.
Yeah. So, but I mean, good for him to get where he's at, to reach the single elimination. But I think it ends for him here. You hope that Federer uses it to get in stroke and keeps the foot down on the pedal. Because, like I said, I'll take Federer to win 2 matches here. And so this guy came in second in the Junior Worlds last year, so he can
Nice.
play.
Way to come strong with the stats, Hayden. That's a pretty good one
That's
right there.
that is that
That's
is
some
pretty good.
that's something you send me in PM so I can get a good line on the
So
guy.
we sound smart.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
help us out here, brother.
Those are things we ought to know, Mike.
Well, yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, again, as a pool fan, unless one of these guys is your brother, you want to see Federer play Chua in the final 16.
That's
And
that's
you know,
that's the juice right there, Mike. That's
yeah.
the one that's got
And
everyone
who do you got in
salivating.
that match?
If it becomes Federer Chua,
Yep.
mm, I, I'd probably pick Chua, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably pick Chua just because of like I said, of what I've seen, of what I've seen lately from him.
Okay.
On a matchroom stage. So that's the only reason why. It's not any knock to Federer. I think that Federer, and to be honest with you, Mike, and call me crazy here, I think Federer's going to really have his hands full if Kwok gets through. I don't care if Federer gets past the
Well,
runner
just
up
ask
in
Shane how
Kyrgios.
fun it is to play Quack.
He knows. He knows. Oh, that talk about having a guy's number, you know. And
Yeah.
Kwok is just he's got a very unassuming style of play, but he can put you in a coma. He
Yeah.
can have you just trying to get some momentum for
Talking to
rack after
yourself. Yeah.
rack after rack,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that guy can execute when it gets tough. He seems to just play the game in a great way. I would not be surprised at all to see Duong come through out of this group of 8, Mike. To be honest with you, and furthermore, I expect him to be facing Chua instead of Federer. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, I just do. I think that's where where that guy's game is right now. So, but give me the guy you got coming out of this group of 8 players, Mike.
I'm just going to play favorite and go Federer. And I don't mean favorite like chalk. I mean favorite like I want to see him win. If I
Oh
had to
well, yeah.
pick one player that if I had to pick one player I wanted to see win the tournament, it would be Federer.
I'd
Just
agree.
just
Yeah, yeah.
personally,
I no,
So
agreed. Yeah, yeah. If I'm betting with my heart here, or
yeah.
rooting for my heart, it would be Federer that I want to
Even
see.
if it's Federer
Not
against Shane in the final, Mike. Just want you to know that.
Wow. So if it's Federer versus Shane in the final, you're still going Federer?
Yep.
Don't I'm gonna call Shane right now and let him know. Yeah, and you know what? I tell him something like that you'll probably be the reason why he springboards into snapping this whole thing off, Mike. So
That's reverse psychology at its best, buddy.
let's go to this round of 8. It's as thick as it can be at the bottom, Mike, with Josh and Victor. Before we get there, we got Demetrius Lukatos against another Vietnamese player in Thien. I'll be honest with you, I don't watch a whole lot of these guys play. I know Demetrius has been playing really strong over the last year, but Thien is not some guy you want to sleep on as well. I'm picking the Greek, but I'm not too comfortable with it. I think it's about even money. But I'm purely looking at what I've seen just from a score line over the last, let's say 6 months.
Yeah, no, he has been playing really good, really solid, and yeah, I would take him in this situation as well.
I'm assuming we're both going to take Misko over Omar.
Yes,
Okay, and then the same with
but it's nice to
Wukalin.
see. I'm glad it's nice to see Omar, you know, into the final 64. We really haven't
Well,
heard much from him in the
we
last
have not
couple of
seen
years,
him
right?
in a couple of years, Mike.
Right. I mean, and he's missed a lot of events as well as not playing really well in the events that he's been at. He had to come through the loser side, so it's not like he's been breezing through this tournament. But I'm glad to see him in there swinging in the final 64.
Omar's not a guy that lacks confidence, but his game is something that, with the way that the conditions are, it can make his game struggle. because he's got a very aggressive style. It's not, he's not very uniform when it comes to his fundamentals, and he
Right.
fires balls in at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he's
Right.
super exciting to watch. But when you're off just a little bit, this table will let you know how much you're off, Mike. And I
Yeah.
think that's where you can get frustrated. I'm picking Misko in that matchup. I'm picking Misko to win again and to be through to the round of 16. Right below it, Wu Kun Lin against Natterberg. I think this one can be an upset if I'm looking at a guy who can upset more of a name in Wu Kun Lin. But I know what kind of killer Wu is. He's legit, Mike.
Yeah, he
Um,
is. He is. He's, we made fun of him, a year ago. Which Wu was it?
yeah.
But he's making his own name for himself. And you watch these tournaments one after the next. He takes down a couple people.
Victor versus Filler, Mike. That's the matchup that for me is the number one match I want to see out of anything on this entire bracket. If I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, no, it should be fun. It's just really hard to, you know, this is a match where in my heart I'd love to see Victor pull it off.
But your head,
Uh, but my head says Josh. My head, as much as anything, because Victor just hasn't, you know, he doesn't look like a killer in the past year. When I've
that's a
watched
very
him.
interesting choice of words there, buddy.
Yeah, well, he's playing a killer. So
You're spoken like a journalist, Mike, like a writer.
a wordsmith, Mike, a
Yeah,
wordsmith.
yeah. There you go. Wordsmith.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's hard to pick against Filler in this situation. Victor's got the talent, and he's got he's got a good enough resume. He's won tournaments. He's not some of the guys like on the edge. So, but I just haven't seen him, especially in these matchroom tournaments. Haven't seen him really, and he's a guy who, if it's not going really well early on, and he looks like it sitting in his seat, Josh is going to murder him.
This is the matchup that if you're a Josh Filler fan, that if he can get through it, this could springboard him to win it all, because I think he's only going to gain momentum in every round thereafter. I don't see anybody being more of a threat in this group than Victor is. I think he's had Victor's number. I think it'll be close to, let's say, the first, let's just say 10 racks. I think it'll be close. Maybe Josh can get in the hole, but I like Josh coming back as well. I think Josh is just a closer and a finisher. We've seen Victor kind of struggle a little bit when it gets tough. If I could not have said it better than the way you said it, Mike. If I'm betting with my, like, who I want to root for and see go deep, it's Victor. I want to see him get over the hurdle here and make a deep run. But if I'm betting with my head, I'm betting on Josh. So,
Yeah, 100%.
And this is the matchup really that I can't wait to go and see. Let's keep on cruising along, Mike. We got SVB against another
Who you
German
got
we've
coming
never
out of
heard of.
this bracket?
Oh, out of the one right above this one. Let me see. I'd probably take Filler, to be honest with you, and
Okay.
and I'd feel pretty comfortable with it. So, like, let me ask you this: if there was Filler versus the field out of this 8, who are you taking?
Field.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, you snap called that too. I
Well, because
can't.
I'm picking Wu in the next match.
You think he's going down to Wu?
I think so.
Okay, so who do you got coming out of here then?
Wu.
I think you finally. Wow. Can I bet breakfast on that one? Can I?
Yeah, an egg McMuffin. Yeah, sure.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Fire
You
at
know, you know what? When I went to dinner from Mike, he takes me to like Steak and Shake at the South Point. Now he's over here looking at
Oh,
seafood.
come on. Not true.
You're already getting me tilted. All right, SVB against a German we haven't heard of. We know who we're both picking there. Jonas, the guy who got 3 golden breaks in an earlier round matchup against Thorsten. I'm gonna pick Jonas, Mike, and I think I'm gonna be all right in that pick, to be honest with you.
Um, I'll take Torsten in that one.
Oh, can we fire at that one? Can we
No.
fire? Can we fire breakfast at that one?
What now? You want some chicken nuggets to go with your egg sandwich?
Oh man, Mike's just got jokes today. All right, no, I like Jonas. I like his style of play. I think he's a better player today. And obviously Thorsten's up there in age. I just think that you know Thorsten ain't really shown a whole lot over the last however many years it's been. I think the best showing that I think I've seen him had, or even just like when I think about quality wins, it's late night out at the Rio. He's facing Chang Jun Lin in the Predator event and came away with the victory in straight sets. But that was probably
Yeah.
what 2 years ago, I would
Yeah.
think. So I think it's a tough matchup. You got Cancelim below that against Tim DeRuyter. Mike, who do you like there?
Slim's been playing good in this tournament, clearly.
Looking like it.
Yeah, I'll take him for sure.
Agreed. I'm taking Can as well. Tobias Bongers against Babika. Mike, who do you got?
Going pole. Got
Yeah,
pole
same.
position.
No, no, no. You know what? I'll take the German. I'll take the German. I like that kid in a bit of an upset. We're both gonna.
You got a German in each of the 4 matches in that bracket.
I was just noticing that too. Right,
Yeah.
that's pretty strong.
Yeah, it is
We're
very strong. Good for them.
how big of a bust would this be if Shane doesn't get to the final 8, Mike?
Looking at this group here, yeah, that would
Yeah,
be a
massive, right?
yeah. Yeah, as soon as I looked at this, I thought Shane's got to like where he's sitting right now for sure,
With
as far as
with
getting to the final 8.
Without a doubt, you got to
Yeah,
love your spot if you're Shane. These are the
yeah,
type of matchups where you can really find a rhythm. You can kind of play with your break a little bit and see what's going to work. You can figure out how you want to play because I think you're going to have some cushion in each and every one of those matchups. I think outside of Shane, if I'm ranking some players, call me crazy, but I think it'd probably be Can number 2.
yeah.
And
Not a bad
as far
pick.
as being a little dangerous,
Yeah,
so that's why I think we'll end up matching up towards the end of this group in here. But it's Shane all the way when it comes to here, and anything outside of a final 8 is just going to be a complete disaster. So
yeah.
looking at the next one, you got Skylar Woodward against a Polish player, Kiral. Tyler Steyer against a Austrian player in Daniel Gutenberger. Mike, let's start up top with Sky and Kiral.
I think it's going to be a tough match for Sky. This kid plays really
Agreed.
good.
He really
He's
does.
a really good young player, um, and you know, we'll see what it depends on which Sky comes to play. I mean, if it's the guy that ran through the last couple of tournaments to the Final Four, he's gonna be up to the task. So, but if he's a little bit shaky, this guy can put the heat on him.
He can really put the heat on him. And that game that we saw on the TV table the other day isn't the game that's going to get him across the finish line against
Right,
this guy.
right,
So you're going to have to step up. You're going to really have to stand tall here. You better come prepared because this kid can punish you. And I don't, just by the namesake, he's probably a 2-game dog. But I think I would gladly take the kid and a couple of games against Sky. I think it's a much smarter play. Obviously, we're both rooting for Sky, and we hope that he does well in this matchup. I'm going to like him in the next matchup if he were to win this first round. But you got to win first, and you cannot get ahead of yourself. Not against
right,
this guy, Mike.
right.
So right below it, you got Tyler Steyer against Daniel Gutenberger. I'm hoping it's Tyler, but that guy below, I saw him in Vegas, Mike. This big guy can play some pool, Mike.
Yeah, he can play. And I'm picking Tyler in this mostly because the way he's played this tournament. I think he's played 3 really strong matches. I think he's got a lot of confidence right now. I think he likes having Johan there. Um, you know, uh, keeping his head square. So I like him here. And if it got to Skyler against Tyler, that that's an it'd be a really fun matchup, really.
You think Tyler could pull off an upset there? Because it would be an upset.
It would be an upset. Can he do it? Familiarity always helps you when you're playing somebody.
Right.
So, there's certainly not going to be the deer in the headlights approach to playing someone who's a favorite against you. So, and if he wins this match, he's got, he would have 4 strong matches under his belt. He'd have to be feeling pretty confident. So, I think that if it got to that next match, if it was Skyler against Tyler, um, I think Tyler can give him a run for his money. I think Skyler's obviously still the betting favorite, but it could be a
By
good match.
far,
Yeah,
by far the betting favorite. Yeah, it's you said it best when you talked about where his head's at and if you want to kind of keep himself out of his own head, and I think Tyler, I haven't watched him play, but looking at these score lines, you got to like his chances here, but you're going to have to be prepared to battle with Gutenberger, kind of the same like Curral. I wouldn't put Daniel in that same category as Curral, but maybe he's getting there.
yeah,
Tyler's going to need that same game that he played against Sanjin in order to win this first round. And
right.
I think that when it comes to just being in someone's head, I think Sky is in Tyler's head. I don't think, and it's kind of brutal. They end up facing each other again, or it could end up facing each other again. I would take Sky. I'd probably lay the two, and I probably wouldn't be sweating a whole lot, to be honest with you. But I would hope that Tyler can kind of get over that hump and play him really tough. So
Yeah.
but you got to get past the Austrian first. If they do end up playing, I hope it's on TV table because I want to watch them. And you know what? You
Yeah.
never know because, like we said before, Tyler can step up when it comes to big matchups.
Yeah.
It's different with big matchups against Europeans or Asian players. It's like if you know this guy, you know him in the locker room, you know what he can do. That's where I think Sky's got that edge, just kind of being in his head a little bit. So,
Yeah.
you got Youngo against Gray. I don't really know what to make of this matchup, to be honest with you, Mike. I'm not really sure where to go and clock it at.
Well, Youngo's been around for a long time.
Yeah,
Grabe feels like he's been around for a long time.
yeah,
And this is kind of where you see both of those guys. Usually in most tournaments, 64, one makes to 32, maybe, things like that.
right.
This is kind of where they're at, but this is as far as you usually see them go. I mean, Grabe's gone deeper in some events, but um, I'll go out on the limb and take the Swiss.
I like Dennis in this matchup, but I don't know why I like Dennis in this matchup. So, it's we'll see. Flip the coin. That's the best
Yeah,
response that I can give you here. Youngo, we saw a couple of years ago go on a decent run. I think he played his way into a World Pool Master spot just because of how well he played in a World Championship, maybe like 2 years removed. So we
right.
know what he can do. We know what Dennis can do. We haven't seen Dennis go deep in an event lately, but who knows, man? This could be a spot. But below it is a matchup that I'm really intrigued with, Mike. Mario He against Gangflot. We saw Gangflot go deep in the Spanish Open, taking down Filler and what everyone pegged to be like Filler's kind of just stepping stone in that round. Ends up beating Filler. But Mario He, man, I mean, we all know what we think he can do, but is he going
Yeah,
to be able to handle what he needs to handle in this round, Mike?
I think he will. I like that he came through the winner's side. I mean, he must be playing fairly well. Game float, good for him for, you know, making the final 64 and two tournaments in a row, two matchroom opens in a row.
Yep.
That's promising, and there's probably some good upside to him. But I think Mario's pretty focused on getting deep in these tournaments because he still has Mosconi Cup aspirations. He still
He's
has,
right there, Mike.
yeah. I like him. I like Mario being ready because Mario can come into these matches and he puts a little pressure on himself, I'm sure, but he knows that when they're talking about these final 64 and who the big matchups are and who the big names are, his name's not one of the first three or four that you're talking about.
Well, but that's
So
what bodes well for a guy like Mario is when you
that's
can
that's
run
exactly
under the
what I'm saying.
radar.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm saying. So I think that he comes in nice and focused and loose and gets to that final 16 match
I
against
like
whoever.
Yeah, I like Mario coming out of the bottom. I like Sky and the Curall winner to make it through up top. If I'm looking at just this 8 players alone,
Right.
it's when it gets tough. Like if it's a Mario versus Sky, I like Sky, and I'm fine. I'm going to bed. I'm not even looking at the score line because one's a killer and one I know can look like Bambi a little bit on ice.
Yeah.
So when the pressure gets a little tough, Mike, So,
Yeah.
um, but it's kind of one of those deals, like we said before. My heart roots for Mario. I like seeing that guy do well. I like the guy
Yeah.
personally. I want to see him do what my eyes say when I see him play, and I see when his break's dialed in. He looks like a top 5 player, Mike, and his results this year, I think, on the World Nine Ball Tour rankings reflect as much.
Right.
But playing against this caliber of player from beginning to end is where you got to prove yourself. You got to show what you're made of, and you got to get through that Sky versus Mario matchup. If it comes to fruition, is going to be box office because I think it'll be pretty compelling. Although I will like Sky, but I want to see him do well, Mike. We'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to get there first. I picked him like I don't know, like 4 events in a row, to win the damn event. So what are you gonna do? I think this might be the last one. I believe our
No,
last
two more.
section. Oh, two more. Okay, let's
Yeah.
get through it. Mike Snyder against Oi, David against Yanni Saikinen. We're both taking Oi. I'm assuming we're both gonna take David up top.
Yep.
I'm with you. Yanni Uski against Peter Urban. I know you're taking Yanni as I am as well. Right below that, Kazakis against Nick Malai. Who do you got there, Mike?
I'm gonna fly on Malai.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Call it an upset. Nick Malai can play good pool. Nick
He
Malai
can,
is
and sometimes, like I said, you see that familiarity. You see two countrymen play each other,
yes,
and the underdog always plays a little looser. Um,
yes.
so
You got
yeah,
history there. It's
yeah,
different. Like it's Nick Malai is a very gritty player, and it's completely different than like the Tyler versus Sky effect. I feel like with these two, and for that reason, I would take Nick. Um, out of this one, I think everyone's thinking it's going to be a David versus Kazakis freight train, but I don't think so personally. I think I
yeah.
like
This is
David
a
up.
weird. This is a weird. 4-match group here. This is, there's
Well,
no
let's say
clear
let's say you're
favorites.
looking at if you're looking at an Oi versus David up top in the next round. Who do you like there?
Oi,
I like David. I don't know why. I like David, but Oi went deeper in Sharks. I mean, he went deep in Sharks. I don't even think David played it, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to kind of peg this one. I'm not. Listen, I'll
I'm
be
taking
perfectly honest.
Yanni Uski coming from the bottom half of that.
Are you?
Yep.
I like how you go out on a limb and you can't even you won't fire that water's wet now these days after after you book a winner with me. All right, here we go, Mike. Let's keep on. Let's finish up here. We got Conrad against Moritz.
Good matchup.
Very good matchup, Mike.
Really good matchup. This is, this kind of a statement win for Moritz. If he can pull it off, I mean, that's a good scalp for him. I mean, he's a guy he's a climber. He's on the rise. I'll take Moritz in this.
I like Moritz. I like the guy. I like Moritz in this one. That Moritz Oliver matchup could end up being a real great matchup because both of them I think play like a similar type game, or I kind of peg them in that same speed.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously, Moritz has done a lot more lately, but Oliver's got that gear, and I think that's what we're going to end up facing. I'm hoping that Moritz can take down two in a row and end up in the final 16. Down below,
I'd bet
Mike, you
on it.
got yeah, I would too. I would too. But Conrad is a tough out. I mean,
He is.
extremely,
All those
extremely
Polish
tough out.
players are. It doesn't
Yes,
surprise me
yes,
when any of them win.
yeah. No, for
That's the
sure.
thing
It's
with
not.
that
Yeah,
group.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it went the other way. Like in other words, the guy to win that matchup, I like going to the 16, whether it's Conrad or Moritz. But I'm hoping it's Moritz. So,
Yeah.
um, Ralph Souquet against the shouter Mike Elliott Sanderson. Who you got there?
um,
It's the
you know,
tortoise and the hare.
yeah, no, I'm an old guy. You know me. I'm going Ralph.
Yeah. How come when I'm trying to pick a little upset, you steal my thunder, Mike? God damn, man. um, yeah, I'm going Ralph too,
I
and
got to go with my heroes here.
yeah, I'm going Ralph. I don't think Ralph's gonna go very far because he's gonna have a tall order, probably against FSR versus Van Leeuwen.
Yeah.
But can Van Leeuwen pull off the upset, Mike? Is this one
No,
where FSR is getting out of the tournament?
no,
You like him winning this one, so I'm assuming you'll like him the next one, and I'm assuming you're going to take him uh, out of this quadrant of
nope.
8 players.
I'll take him to the
No,
final 16. I'll take the winner of Conrad Moritz to get to the 8.
wow, wow. Now you're getting a little ballsy, Mike. It only took you like 50
Hey,
years.
there are 8 of these sections of 8 players. I'm not getting ballsy in every one just for the sake of getting ballsy.
No, I'm with you
Got
there.
to pick your
Pretty
spot.
pretty great matchups throughout this
Yeah,
round of
could be
64,
fun.
leading into the round of 16. Mike, based off of what you saw, who are you liking making a decent run here, Mike?
Well, I mean, call me a risk taker, but I like Shane making a really good run here. I mean, he's set up really good to
Yeah.
get to the final 8, and then at the final 8, Shane is Shane. He got to the final here last year, so yeah, I think of all those groups of players I looked at, he looked to me to be about the the best, the high, if you had to pick odds on a player getting through his particular group of 8,
Massive favorite.
he'd have to be the massive favorite of all the groups.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like him making a deep run.
I'm with you here, and I know what I'm going to get from you because you just pick. You pick Homer all the way from beginning to end. Every tournament. If
I
you
got
rewind
Piney
every
Cole
tournament,
beating Shane in the final. How do you like that?
do you? Are they on the
Yep.
opposite ends?
Yep.
Well, I got to go back and look to see who's. So I'm so. Is Shane on the same side as Filler? Do you
I
know?
believe so. Let's see.
Let me
We have
see.
to look at this one here.
I'd have to zoom out of my damn screen here a little bit. Let me see here. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Pinico.
So where does it stop? Yeah. So from Shane down.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so it could be Filler then. Okay, perfect. Um,
You mean in the final, Shane against Filler?
yeah, it could be a Shane versus Filler final. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
could
could.
be.
It could.
Yeah.
But it won't.
Um,
Shane versus Pinico.
I don't think so, Mike. It's gonna be. It's gonna be. It's gonna be. It's gonna be Daniel Maciel in the final. I'm going all in on this kid. I like his game, man. It's gonna be Daniel Maciel
I'll
against.
tell you what, if you hit 2 in a row with Dang and Maciel,
I'm done. I'm not
I'll
gonna.
flip I'll flip the switch on dinner in Seattle, man. I'll just give it to you.
Well, now I'm really rooting for the guy. No, I like that guy's game, man. I do, and it's easy to pick the favorite. Look, I think
Yeah.
I like sexy matchups. We all do, but I also like seeing guys kind of make a name for themselves. I like seeing guys who can follow up on making runs. I'm going to be looking at Mark. I'm going to be looking at a bunch of guys, seeing if Omar can
How
kind of
many
be Omar again. I mean, there's a
how
lot of
many
there's a lot
how
of
many
things to take a
walls
look
have
at.
we hit our head against in the last couple tournaments looking ahead at these juicy matchups that never
That
happen?
never happened,
Yeah.
ever happened. Just picking straight chalk. So, what time the matches start tomorrow? Mark, Mike at 4 a.m. again, 3 a.m.
Uh,
God, I
I
hope
don't
not.
know.
Well, I'm going to be up watching regardless. It's going to be great from beginning to end. More than any other day, tomorrow's the one I'm looking at. Tomorrow's the one that I'm going to be getting up early for to really watch any and everything they got going on. So make sure and tune in on the zone. Mike, give me a winner overall. You're still sticking with Copigny?
Yep.
You just go chalk, man. All right, listen, we're gonna.
Chuck, how many open tournaments has he won in the last 2 years? Forget the Masters. How many open tournaments has he won in the last 2 years?
See, look at Mark Bynum. You need to go out on a limb a little bit. Go out on a limb. Go out on a limb just one time in your life,
Well, he
Mike.
picked FSR. The guy won every tournament in the last 2 years, and he's got SSR in the final. And you're calling me a locksmith? Come on.
Look at that, Mike. Mike's just getting ruthless in his old age, man. I like this. I like this new Mike. Mike, I can't wait to see you, buddy. Are you going to be free tomorrow?
What is tomorrow? Friday? Yeah, I'll be here.
All right, guys, make sure to tune in. I got to run because I got girls who are getting restless. But stay tuned for tomorrow. We'll have a lot more stuff. I'm going to try to get some guests out of Fulda as well. So just stay tuned, and we'll see you guys later.
Going to Red Lobster to get my bib.